"Hello?" said Coraline. I mean, she said to say that lunch is ready. The man turned around. His eyes were buttoned, big and black and shiny. "Hello, Coraline," he said. "I'm starving." He got up and went with her into the kitchen. They sat at the kitchen table, and Caroline's other mother brought them lunch: a huge golden brown roasted chicken, fried potatoes, tiny green peas. Caroline shoveled the food into her mouth. It tasted wonderful. "We've been waiting for you for a long time," said Caroline's other father. "For me?" "Yes," said the other mother. "It wasn't the same here without you, but we knew you'd arrive one day, and then we could be a proper family. Would you like some more chicken?" It was the best chicken that Caroline had ever eaten. Her mother sometimes made chicken, but it was always out of packets, or frozen, and was very dry, and it never tasted of anything. When Caroline's father cooked chicken, he brought real chickens, but he did strange things to it, like stirring it in wine, or stuffing it with prunes, or baking it in pastry, and Caroline would always refuse to touch it, on principle. She took some more chicken. "I didn't know I had another mother," said Caroline cautiously. "Of course you do. Everyone does," said the other mother, her black button eyes gleaming. "After lunch I thought you might like to play in your room with the rats." "The rats?" "From upstairs." Caroline had never seen a rat, except on television. She was quite looking forward to it. This was turning out to be a very interesting day after all. After lunch, her other parents did the washing up, and Caroline went down the hall to her other bedroom. It was different from her bedroom at home. For a start, it was painted in an off-putting shade of green, and a peculiar shade of pink. Caroline decided that she wouldn't want to have to sleep in there, but that the other colour scheme was an awful lot more interesting than the other one in her own bedroom. There were all sorts of remarkable things in there she'd never seen before. Wind-up angels that fluttered around the bedroom like startled sparrows, books with pictures that writhed and crawled and shimmered, little dinosaur skulls that chattered their teeth as she passed. Shattered. Jesus. A whole toy box filled with wonderful toys. This is more like it, thought Caroline. She looked out of the window. Outside, the view was the same as she saw in her own bedroom. Trees, fields, and beyond them, on the horizon, distant purple hills. Something black scurried across the floor and vanished under her bed. Caroline got down on her knees and looked under the bed. 50 little red eyes stared back at her. "Hello," said Caroline. "Are you the rats?" They came out from under the bed, blinking their eyes in the light. They had short soot black fur, little red eyes, pink paws like tiny hands, and pink hairless tails like long smooth worms. "Can you talk?" she asked. The largest, blackest of the rats shook its head. It had an unpleasant sort of smile, Caroline thought. "Well," asked Caroline, "what do you do?" The rats formed a circle. They then began to climb on top of each other, carefully but swiftly, until they formed a pyramid with the largest rat at the top. The rats began to sing in high, whispery voices. Here we go. "We have teeth, we have tails, we have tails, we have eyes. We were here before you fell. You will be here when we rise." It was a pretty song. Caroline was sure she'd heard it before, or something like it, although she was unable to remember exactly where. Then the pyramid fell apart, and the rats scampered fast and black towards the door. The other crazy old man upstairs was standing in the doorway, holding a tall black hat in his hand. The rats scampered up him, burrowing into his pockets, into his shirt, up his trouser leg, down his neck. The largest rat climbed onto the old man's shoulders, swung up on the long grey moustache, past the big black button eyes, and on top of the man's hat. In seconds, the only evidence that there were rats at all were the restless lumps under the man's clothes, forever sliding from place to place across him. and there was still the largest rat, who stared down with glittering red eyes at Caroline from the old man's head. The old man put his hat on, and the last rat was gone. "Hello, Caroline," said the old man upstairs. "I heard you here. It is time for the rats to have their dinner, but you can come up with me, if you like, and watch them feed." There was something hungry in the old man. There was something hungry in the old man's button eyes that made Caroline feel uncomfortable. "No, thank you," she said. "I'm going outside to explore." The old man nodded, very slowly. Caroline could hear the rats whispering to each other, although she couldn't tell what they were saying. She was not certain she wanted to know what they were saying. Her other parents stood in the kitchen doorway as she walked down the corridor, smiling identically and waving slowly. "Have a nice time outside," said her mother. "We'll just wait here for you to come back," said her father. When Caroline got to the front door, she turned back and looked at them. They were still watching her, and waving and smiling. Caroline walked outside and down the steps. End of chapter 3.